Sailing an old fixer-upper sailboat around the Caribbean was way more work than I ever imagined. The boat was able to get us from point A to point B, but the whole time it was just falling apart a little bit faster than we were able to fix her. So for years, we limped around the Caribbean, having tons of amazing adventures, but slowly losing ground.
So we're selling Atticus?
When we were given the opportunity to outfit our dream boat from the ground up, we were ecstatic, but we quickly realized that building the ultimate off-grid sailboat comes with its own set of challenges. And compared to coastal cruising in Central America, crossing oceans with thousands of miles to the nearest land is a whole different ballgame. And it felt like we were finally diving headfirst into the major leagues of long-distance sailing.
It's been interesting being pregnant and seasick at the same time.
The sail is just like drooping down.
I feel a little bit hopeless.
Hey guys, so this is our fourth and final video of our recap series where we've been telling our story from the very beginning over the course of 4 episodes.
So if you haven't seen the first one yet, definitely start at the beginning of the recap series. Now, in real time, we are getting ready to hunker down for winter here in Bay Marina, Turgay in Turkey. And we thought this would be the perfect time to dive into our big picture story like never before. So we hope you guys enjoy it.
So up to this point in our story, we had spent 6 years basically trying to sail our boat to French Polynesia. And although we had had some amazing adventures and experiences along the way, we really hadn't gotten all that much closer to our goal, and it had been a long time. So by the time we arrived in Shelter Bay Marina in Panama, we had worked on the boat for about 1.5 years in Panama, and then 2 months in Honduras, 4 months in Guatemala, 3 months in Mexico, and 3 years in Key West. And when we arrived in Shelter Bay Marina in Panama, we still had a ton of boat work to do. Basically, the more we sailed Atticus 1, the more we got to know her, the more problems we found. And the project list was just growing and growing, and honestly, we were not even close to keeping up with it. The harder we worked, the more behind we got. And when we arrived in Shelter Bay Marina, we only had a couple of months until we absolutely needed to begin the Pacific crossing. And I was beginning to lose confidence that we were gonna make that deadline. And then on top of all of that, this happened.
It's not good. The main bulkhead is just super damaged. I actually haven't found any alive termites, but there's termite damage all throughout this bulkhead. There will be an area that looks like it's fine, and then I can just punch right through it, you know?
Oh my God.
I mean, look at that.
Ugh.
This whole area is totally affected. This whole area, I could imagine doing something like gluing and bolting on like a new piece of wood, sort of as a Band-Aid. To fix the chain plate problem, I feel like we'd have to just replace the whole bulkhead. I feel like there's no other option at that point, you know?
Now, it's important to note that this is definitely a project that I could have tackled. I 100% could have replaced that bulkhead. But since everything around the bulkhead was glassed together, I would have had to completely destroy and then rebuild a good portion of the V-berth and the head. And this would take me a long time to do. I mean, probably several months to finish. And that's on top of all the other projects that we still had left to do. But also, the damaged bulkhead made me realize that there's a decent chance that there were more structural issues that were age-related with the boat that I just hadn't found yet.
I mean, it's gonna sound crazy, but we could sell Atticus, you know? This constantly needing to work on the boat and not ever really having the time to really sail, I'm wondering if that's ever going to stop, or if it might even keep getting worse, you know? That's all right, buddy. That's okay. Come here, buddy.
Yeah, like, don't you want to cross on this boat?
I do, obviously, you know, but our plan up till now has been to sail across the Pacific, make it to New Zealand, and then sell Atticus there because we want to start having kids, and we couldn't, like, Atticus is just definitely not big enough for us to have kids on.
Yeah.
If we're going to sell Atticus in like a year, I can't justify putting more time and money into the boat, you know? I mean, it's a little early, but we've saved enough money where I feel like we could, we could definitely swing it so that we could buy a boat that is in good shape,
Yeah.
So we ended up making the difficult decision to sell Atticus 1 and to basically accelerate the long-term plans that we already had and upgrade to a bigger boat a little bit sooner than we thought. This transition was terrifying for us, and we weren't actually certain how we were going to manage it. So one of the things we did was start a Kickstarter campaign, and we were completely blown away by the support that we received. We were just so touched by the fact that so many people cared about our journey and about our adventure and wanted to help support us to continue it. So I'd like to take a second to thank all of you who contributed to the Kickstarter campaign. It really meant the world to us. It completely changed our lives. So thank you so much. So one of the things that I really love about sailing offshore is that it helps me to reset my expectations for everything in my life. Dealing with danger and discomfort for days or even weeks at a time basically recalibrates my brain so that I'm less accustomed to comfort and pleasure. To the point where when the passage is finally over, I have so much more appreciation for the little things in my life, whether it be just safety or comfort, or even the fact of not being seasick, like makes me actually happy and experience joy, But I don't think you necessarily need to sail for hundreds of miles in the middle of nowhere to have that kind of an experience. There are techniques and habits that I think can help anyone appreciate their day-to-day reality. And I think for a lot of people, working with a professional therapist could help a lot with accomplishing that. Which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier and much less intimidating for a lot of people. BetterHelp lets you have therapy sessions as a video chat, a phone call, or even over messaging, whatever's the most comfortable version of therapy for you. BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network, depending on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise than may otherwise be available in your area. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire regarding the challenges that you're going through and what kind of therapist you'd like. Then BetterHelp can match you with a therapist, which in most cases takes less than 48 hours. You can schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. And if you feel like your therapist isn't a great fit for you, you can switch therapists with the click of a button in your settings at no additional cost. So join over 4 million people who have used BetterHelp to start living a happier, healthier life. Click the link in the description below or visit betterhelp.com/Atticus to help support this channel and to get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so that you can start working with a therapist and see if it helps. Now, ever since we bought Atticus 1, I have indulged in what I call boat porn. I have spent hours and hours and hours on the pages of Yacht World and Sailboat Data trying to figure out what our ideal sailboat would be. So what happened to us over the course of the next couple months was kind of a dream come true for me. We flew back to the States and went on a boat hunt road trip. We drove up the East Coast and toured every sailboat that we could. And I learned more about the used sailboat market in those 2 months than I had in the previous 7 years. Interviewing experts, dissecting hull designs, and just getting firsthand experience of what I liked and disliked was an incredible experience for me, and we were able to make a pretty popular video series out of it. Now, the main lesson that I came away with after our experience on Atticus 1 was that there's no such thing as a free lunch, or in other words, there's no such thing as a cheap boat. There's boats that you pay for with money, and then there's boats that you pay for with blood, sweat, and tears. But either way, you're gonna pay for that boat. And the question is just what currency are you gonna use? So our main goal with our search for Atticus 2 was to find a boat that was in really good shape, that would allow us to spend more time sailing and less time doing boat projects. And after months of searching, we finally decided on the boat that would be our new home and the platform for our future adventures. We chose a Pacific Seacraft 40 built in 1997. All right, guys. How's it feel?
Weird. I can't believe this is our new home.
I know. I'm so excited.
I know.
Oh.
I remember those first couple of weeks as a sort of blissful dream. Every morning, I'd wake up in absolute disbelief that this was actually our new home.
This is so awesome. There's so much counter space. I'm in heaven right now.
Yeah.
And we get to use our oven for the first time. I love this boat. Oh my god.
So showering on a boat is a different experience.
Hot showering on a boat. Not in the cockpit, not with my bathing suit on, not with limited amount of water, not freezing my little butt off.
Yeah.
Not feeling kind of weird like shaving my armpits in front of neighbors.
Yeah, right.
I might go back in.
Now, as I mentioned before, our main goal with Atticus 2 was to find a boat that would allow us to sail more and do less boat work. So it might be a little surprising to hear that after we moved aboard Atticus 2, we then proceeded to work on the boat for about a year and a half. Now, as absurd as that might sound, I do think that we chose the right boat. Atticus 2 was in really great shape when we bought her, but she wasn't at all outfitted for long distance cruising. And I just totally underestimated how much time and money it would take to get her ready. I guess what I learned is that there is a massive difference between a boat that is totally ready for weekend sailing and a boat that is ready to cross oceans and to have full-time liveaboards. And the difference in systems and equipment and amenities is just a lot larger than what I had assumed. Now, there were 1,000 different projects that we tackled in that time, but the biggest one was installing an all-new electrical system from the ground up. On Atticus 1, we had been able to experience life off-grid in some extremely remote places, but there was always a countdown that started the moment we would leave civilization, and it was only a matter of time until we needed to return, whether for fresh water, internet to upload an episode, or just to do laundry. So our dream on Atticus 2 was to have absolutely everything that we needed, even if we were in the middle of nowhere. Now, we knew that we didn't have the money or the time to install all of these systems all at once. So instead, we built the foundation upon which these systems could be gradually added. And what we ended up with was a cutting-edge electrical system that we had built from the ground up. In addition to the electrical system, we also replaced all of the rigging, chain plates, furlers, and sails on the boat. And we installed solar panels, a strong bimini, cockpit railings, and dinghy davits. But along with all the boat work, we also got to know the east coast of the United States. We sailed to Maine, explored the Chesapeake, motored along the ICW, and got to know the protected waters of North Carolina. We also got a dog, and this happened. What? Are you pregnant? You're kidding.
No.
You're kidding.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Wow. Holy moly.
Yeah. Let's cross the Atlantic.
Yeah, I know, right?
So the big question now that we know I'm pregnant is where the heck are we gonna have this baby? And although it is slightly tempting to kind of hunker down in the United States and have the baby here, Jordan and I are just so excited about crossing the Atlantic, and we've worked so hard for it for so long that we're gonna do it no matter what.
It had been about 8 years since we bought Atticus 1 and almost a year and a half since buying Atticus 2, and we were finally setting sail on our very first ocean crossing. And along for the ride were our friends Steve and Jen. Man, this is some beautiful sailing. I'm never gonna look at 8 knots on a weather forecast the same again. Like, I'm gonna be like, oh, we should go.
Perfect.
Yeah. I feel like sailing, and especially offshore sailing, is often a good analogy for life. But right now in particular, because, you know, when things are going like absurdly well, it's almost hard not to just dwell on the fact that like it can only get worse from here. You know?
It's all gonna go bad.
Now, we knew that we were most likely going to encounter a cold front on this crossing, and that would most likely be the biggest challenge of the crossing. And when a cold front finally did catch up to us, we had days of strong winds, big seas, and extreme motion. All right, so I'm relieving Jen up here. Things are getting windy. What do you think, Jen?
I know I'm the crazy one of the bunch, but this is exhilarating, and I've never just felt so alive in all my days. This is fun.
But yeah, the motion is getting difficult. It's just hard to do anything now. Even going from like my bunk to out here is like 2 feet, 2 hands, like at all times holding on to stuff, you know. It has severely affected our moment-to-moment experience, you know. At least one person is having a good time.
I'm already very prone to getting seasick, more so than most sailors I've met, and being pregnant has definitely exacerbated my symptoms. Although I'm normally able to cope with it, what I wasn't at all prepared for on this Atlantic crossing was confronting the fact that this wasn't going to end anytime soon. After 3 days of rough seas, my body was already starting to give up on me, and I honestly didn't know how I would deal with another 10 days of feeling this way.
You okay, buddy?
I feel a little bit hopeless.
It is the hardest part, you know? And the boat's doing fine. You just gotta lay down and wait it out, you know? Sorry you're not feeling good.
Can't wait for an anchorage.
Yeah, so it's everything is happening right now. Big waves. Every now and then we kind of bang into a wave and like take a lot of ocean water onto the boat. And now it's just started pouring rain. I'm on watch and I'm not really sure why I'm even up here in a lot of ways. There's so little I can do and the boat's just chugging along. But definitely like the strongest winds I think I've sailed at least for a prolonged period of time.
All right, well, it's about 3 a.m. It's kind of crazy because at first, when I come out on deck, everything feels so intense. I can feel the wind just whipping us around. I can hear the wind. It is loud. It's kind of a sensory overload. But then, you know, you just kind of get used to the motion and the spray and the fact that you need to hold on. Just another day in paradise, man. Living the dream.
Okay, so the fun continues. It looks like we just chafed through our first reef clue line. And you can see here, the sail is just like drooping down. I'm going to attempt to like run a new line through the boom. Luckily, we actually have a spare for exactly that line.
I started to change the reef line out, and I had to hurry because there was a squall heading our way, and night was quickly approaching. But the job turned out to be bigger than I thought, and I was really tired, since this all happened just as I was heading down to go to bed. So before we got hit by the squall, I decided to just tuck in a second reef in the main, and to deal with the chafed first reef line in the morning. But wrangling in the unruly sail took a lot of energy, and to do it quickly before the squall hit really took it out of me.
That was tiring.
Sir, you just earned yourself an off dog watch. I'm taking your shift.
All right. Well, today was a really, really exhausting and chaotic day. Mostly because the winds kept on changing direction and speed, and the seas were confused and very, very rolly. I think you could safely call today the day that everything decided to break.
All right, well, I was able to get some sleep last night, which I think I really needed, because when I saw that reefing line had chafed through, I literally had no like problem solving abilities. My brain was just like, there's nothing we can do about that. But I'm feeling like so much more like with it today. And so I'm gonna see if I can head up there and see if Jen and I can pull the old reefing line out and either reuse it or use it to reeve a new reefing line. Okay, go ahead. I think it's working. Yes! Nice!
Once we were able to access the chafed reefing line, I was able to use that old line to pull the new line through, which made the job a lot simpler, but it still took us a while to do, including the fact that we had to fold the Dodger forward for me to access the part of the boom that the reefing line tied to.
Okay, got the new reefing line in and it looks like it's gonna work. And you can see what happened with the old one. The block that the line goes through, like the lead doesn't work out to be perfectly fair. And so the line chafes on like the side of the block. That'll work for now. We'll just have to keep a really close eye on it. Ooh, okay. That's a lot to do while underway. Kind of hilarious how exhausting doing anything is.
Now, even though equipment failures like the reefing line chafing through or the autopilot failing were pretty darn easy fixes, I was surprised by how much I emotionally reacted to those equipment failures. I think a lot of it is the fact that being in the middle of the ocean, there was kind of a large weight on me that if I couldn't fix something, then we were out of options, right? Like there's only one way that we're gonna deal with a problem, and that's us fixing it then and there. And that's it, because there's no outside help. But I also think a lot of it was that I hadn't had enough experience sailing Atticus 2 yet. And so I hadn't really gotten that confidence that I knew the boat inside and out, I knew all of her systems, and I knew that I could fix anything that broke. I wasn't there yet with the boat. I just didn't trust her, like we didn't have that relationship yet. And so I think that my anxiety was a lot higher than it will be for future crossings. And it kind of reminded me of our very first cruising experience when we went from Key West to Cuba, and we were just experiencing such high highs and such low lows because it was all new and so exciting because of that, and yet it was all new and so very stressful because of that, right? It was the same exact thing with the ocean crossing, and I think that as we do more of them, I'll start to feel more comfortable with the concept. But for that very first one, it was a very nerve-wracking experience.
Good morning. So today is day 3 of sailing hard on the wind, and it's just awe-inspiring to watch Atticus, our home, just pushing through these waves and pushing into the wind and just doing it non-stop and making progress. It's really incredible to see. In a way, the boat is defying nature, but in a way, it's not. It's like working really gracefully with nature to accomplish something that seems like it shouldn't be able to do. It's a relatively comfortable ride at this point, with the exception of keeling over a lot. And I'm just so impressed with Atticus too. There's all these little things that broke on this trip, but the boat has performed so well in like so many different conditions. It really just blows me away. Yeah, so how you feeling, buddy?
Feeling good. Feeling very accomplished. Feeling very excited to be in like a stable anchorage or at a dock. We did it.
I have no words for once in my life. Now I'm gonna cry. We did it, guys. We did it. We made it.
For days now, I've been longing to get off of this emotional roller coaster and travel back to the world of safety and stability. But now that I'm moments away from escaping this alternate universe, a part of me knows that in the not so distant future, I'm going to long to come back to this place, where beauty and euphoria meld with discomfort and an acute awareness of my own mortality. It's as though for some reason I feel the need to cycle back and forth between safety and danger, anxiety and security, comfort and discomfort. The whole thing is one giant contradiction, but there's one thing I do know. As excited as I am about leaving this alternate universe behind, I know I'll be coming back soon. For the next 3 months, we explored the Azores archipelago.
Coffee on the top of a mountain. This is the dream right now.
Sailed through the Straits of Gibraltar. Giant ships, huge cranes, the Rock of Gibraltar. Oh man, this is really cool. We ran into some old friends in the Balearic Islands.
An Atticus reunion.
And then we went on a hike with Kika and Dan.
Nobody said anything inappropriate, I promise.
And finally made it to our ultimate destination, Malta. And it was here in this beautiful island nation in the middle of the Mediterranean that we welcomed our daughter, Isabella, into the world.
It's a baby.
Yeah, she's gonna be part of our family now.
Learning how to live and travel on a sailboat with a baby was a steep learning curve.
Do you see any good spots to leave the boat?
But it wasn't anything all that foreign to us.
It's so clear that we're a family of 4 now. Like everything fits in this little kayak.
Living on a sailboat is one giant experiment in learning how to do things in unconventional ways. And raising a baby on a boat was not really that different.
Baby's first time sailing. Isabella, you're a sailor.
It was also during this time that we were able to turn Atticus 2 into the lean, mean, off-grid machine that we had envisioned when we first installed her new electrical system. We installed a water maker, Starlink, and a washing machine. 3 systems that would have seemed absolutely impossible on Atticus 1. We were now ready for our family to live comfortably and safely off-grid for months at a time while producing videos from anywhere in the world. And it felt like a dream come true.
This is the longest that we've been able to stay off-grid and keep up with everything. Normally when we go off-grid, it's just kind of a ticking clock until we need to go get more water, until we need to find internet to upload an episode. And so we're just trying to cram everything into this small amount of time. This has been the opposite experience. We've been keeping up with episodes. Our water is all topped off. Our clothes are all clean. We've been taking showers, like living comfortably and normally in this beautiful off-grid environment. And I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed it. It's exactly the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to have when we were planning all of these systems. And honestly, it's exactly the kind of lifestyle I want for Isabella.
And so our new family in our new home set sail for one of the most renowned cruising grounds in the world, the Greek islands. For the first time in our sailing career, we spent the vast majority of an entire sailing season actually sailing, with only a few brief interruptions to do unexpected boat projects. It was the exact experience that had eluded us for so many years, ever since we first bought Atticus 1.
Hello, welcome to Project Atticus, 2 people's attempt to buy, refit, and sail a boat around the world and to document the entire process.
From our very first episode that we ever made, our goal was to sail around the world. And now, 10 years later, I look back at our journey and I can't help but think that nothing went according to plan. It's basically taken us 10 years to sail a distance that some people sail in a single year. So in a way, we've done kind of a bad job at accomplishing our original goal. But on the other hand, our journey turned out to be much more of an adventure than I ever could have imagined. We took tourists on dolphin safaris in Key West, learned to support ourselves in Mexico, did a ton of boat projects throughout Central America, had a baby on a boat in Malta, and now we have a floating home that is truly ready to keep our family safe and comfortable no matter where in the world we choose to go. And even more important than that is the fact that all of those experiences have made us into the people that we are today. So my hope is that rather than a depiction of our glory days, I hope that this series can serve as a prologue to all of the incredible adventures that lay before us. It's the 10-year-long story of how we, as a naive couple without any money, came to finally sail the world.
We, for better or worse, own this boat now.
All right, raising the sail for the first time. Oh, Havana's right there.
It's better than I thought it would be, you know? Not get overwhelmed, not get too stressed out. I'm like, start crying. Like, that was my favorite moment.
It's not good.
So we're selling Atticus.
How's it feel?
Weird.
Are you pregnant?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I feel a little bit hopeless.
Hey, Isa. Baby's first time sailing. Isabella,
sailing.
you're a sailor.